everybody, and welcome back to Crypto Simplified. Sorry for not uploading for a while. I've had a few technical problems, but now I'm back to talk about a project that I really think you should be taking notice of. I'd like to reiterate though that I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. You should be doing your own research. I hope this is the start of your research and you just start digging in deep, read the white paper, read all the stuff you possibly can to ensure that you're putting your money in a place where you believe you're going to get returns. I'd like to thank all of you folks for the fantastic response. Even though I've been away, I've been in touch with a few of you on Twitter. We've had some great chats on YouTube. Thank you all so much for the feedback. Do let me know if there are any projects that interest you and if there's anywhere that I can improve. This content's for you. I want to tailor it for the best possible experience for you guys. So having said all that, let's jump right into this project. What is Matrix AI Network all about? Well, firstly, they have a few common features with a lot of the more popular blockchain projects in the space right now. Like many projects, it's open source, and they're also aiming for a ludicrously high number of transactions per second that will rival your large financial players like Visa and MasterCard. These folks at Matrix AI Network are using artificial intelligence and machine learning to make blockchains more efficient, scalable, and this last point here is the kicker, accessible. They want you to be able to type in your own native language and launch smart contracts in this way. They don't want you to rely on learning a whole new language like Solidity or Scala or any of those other languages. You just need to know English, Chinese, or whatever language you know. Type in the instructions and the machine learning algorithms will take the relevant pieces of information and launch their smart contracts. The target audience for this project will probably be enterprises and government initiatives. Should get more into this a little bit later. So what they would require is a nice level of operability between both private and public blockchains, because companies don't want all their information being public, but they can have their little private blockchains that are pegged to a main public blockchain. Lots of enterprise blockchain companies are exploring this method, so it's interesting to see how this develops. The company will also use artificial intelligence to make their blockchain self-adaptive. And the last point, which I think is one of the most important parts about this project, is the value-added mining. More on that later on in the presentation. But first, I've got to talk to you about what I think about artificial intelligence. Another disclaimer, I'm not a programmer, so I can't look at code and tell you that this definitely works or this definitely doesn't work. However, we all know that artificial intelligence and blockchains are the future. I believe personally it's irrefutable because of the sheer number of advantages that both these new technologies bring. People have used the artificial intelligence tag for deception. BitConnect, I'm looking at you. You're talking about a secret AI bot that gives you these returns by trading for you. Yes, that sounds too good to be true, and in that case, it was too good to be true. So that's how people tend to think that AI is not exactly something that they can trust right now. For the normal person, no one really knows how developed artificial intelligence is. So that's what makes investing in these projects a little bit tricky, because people can talk about stuff that is happening, but whether or not they are executing it, that is a big problem, and that leaves a lot of potential for scams and false advertising. And the last point, Skynet or any other version of a robot uprising, I believe it's a threat because we don't know. We actually don't know how far this can go. Elon Musk thinks this is a threat. Mark Zuckerberg thinks this is a threat. I'm just a dude talking about cryptocurrencies. I think I should take their perspectives on board a little bit when it comes to technology, so that they actually immerse their lives in. So while I've expressed my skepticism about artificial intelligence, I think it's very, very important to talk about the people executing this vision, because that's helped me overcome these initial inhibitions that I had about investing in a project that is relying on machine learning. So first up, let's have a look at the CEO, possibly the least impressive in the core team, but he is a serial entrepreneur. He's had a ton of companies in China. Link in the description if you want to follow up on all their LinkedIn pages. But the ones who I really want you to be paying attention to are the three chief scientists on this team. Steve Deng, PhD from Carnegie Mellon. He does a lot of the PR work with talking to YouTubers and talking to people in this space because he wants to explain his technology and explain his positioning. And the best person to possibly do that is the person who is behind the brains of the operation. The other two members of the core team are ludicrously qualified as well. Tim Shi, former principal system architect at AMD, used to work at Samsung, and he's the chief chip scientist. Why is this important? I shall get to that in the roadmap. Next one, Bill Lee. He'll be the chief network architect. He's very involved with the Chinese government's initiatives for making the country much more wirelessly accessible. And he also designed the communication systems on China's first aircraft carrier. So in this team, you have a whole bunch of high-level, highly experienced pedigree. So am I still scared about the artificial intelligence side of this? Not as much as I was, but of course, it's my money that I'm investing, so I have to maintain a small amount of skepticism. But throw the word blockchain around, you're going to get attention. Throw artificial intelligence around, you're going to get attention. Put them both together, this is like, yeah. So that's what my initial fear was. But having had a look at this team, I feel a little bit safer. So next up, one of the most interesting facets of this company is its consensus algorithm. So they use a hybrid proof of work and proof of stake with hierarchical nodes. So they have delegated nodes that run proof of work. So it's only a small number of nodes that are actually doing proof of work and therefore using high amounts of electricity. Everyone else on the network is using proof of stake. Why is this vital? Because of the nature of the proof of work. Unlike on the Bitcoin network, where computers and very high-powered computers are using lots of electricity to crunch numbers and to find a nonce that will validate the block, this one uses Markov chain Monte Carlo, which helps run computing models that will actually be useful for the system in order to power the AI brains of the network. If you'd like to read up more about MCMC, I've got a few links in the description. Irrespective of how experienced you are in this, there should hopefully be a video in there for everyone. You might be a little confused by what I've just said, and they provided a very helpful diagram. Nodes are randomly selected and randomly clustered, so it's not based on geographical location. Nodes are just clustered randomly. From the nodes, you go up to a group of honest nodes that are decided through game theory and all the like. After that, you got another level of supernodes. From those supernodes, you have delegate nodes. And these delegate nodes are the ones that do the proof of work. Understanding the minutiae of how this works isn't too important. If you are interested, however, link in the description, as is the white paper. It's a technical white paper, so if you really want to get into the meat of how this works, have a look over there. So, now that I've mentioned that MCMC is actually a much more useful way of computing blocks rather than using the hashing power, let's have a look at how this network would actually be used and how it is actually currently being used. Among those functions are early cancer detection and X-ray readings using AI. With artificial intelligence, it's possible to detect things that even highly experienced doctors cannot. This has the potential to significantly reduce the cost of actually diagnosing people with problems, and that you're not constrained by the amount of doctors active in your geographical area. The Matrix AI network are not only in modern medicine, but also in traditional Chinese medicine, which is a phenomenally huge movement still to this day, even in 2018 in China. All over the world, people are shifting away from pharmaceuticals and moving into traditional medicine again, and Matrix AI network has a solution for that too, with the supply chain management that can be handled using a blockchain, as well as gene sequencing quality control using this MCMC proof of work. They can actually ensure that the quality of traditional Chinese medicine sticks to some modern guidelines of potency and dosage. This will also open the doors for international export. Another major use case of blockchains that people have been talking about but haven't really implemented on a wider scale is credit and credit information. Having an immutable credit score and an immutable credit history could potentially be the future of loans and financing. Matrix AI Network is partnered with the China Securities Credit Investment and the China Youth Credit Institutions in order to ensure that this has a nationwide rollout. And finally, the big kicker that makes me believe that Matrix AI Network has a place in this world for the long term is its partnership with possibly the most ambitious infrastructure project in the world today, the One Belt, One Road Initiative. And they are the sole artificial intelligence and blockchain partners for this initiative. You might be wondering why I'm so optimistic about this project, and for that you need to understand the sheer scale of this project. It's a cross-continental infrastructure project over land and sea. They want to revive the Silk Road of the old days, where goods would move from China through to India, through to Pakistan and the Middle East, into Eurasia, and then into Western Europe. This is one of the most lucrative belts in the world for trade. The amount of cross-cultural communication that's been happening here, the sharing of ideas, was hundreds of years ahead of its time. And now China wants to revive this with a ridiculously ambitious project. It's going to be in over 60 countries. And 200 companies have taken exclusive rights for certain sectors, both geographically and technologically, in order to make this a super business highway of sorts. However, they want to go more than just reviving the on-road section. They want to create a maritime Silk Road as well, linking together smaller countries in the Middle East and in the Indian Ocean to the main Chinese business hubs. While I have attached links in my description for you to follow up if you really want to read up more about this project, there are a few major takeaways that we can actually have a look at about what the long-term strategic advantages of this project will be. There is a large wealth disparity between the highly developed east coast of China and the inland western. This road will move from the east to the west into Europe. So this creates a potential for being a steroid for development, firstly within China. And also with this road going outside the country, it helps improve the export of goods, but most importantly, the export of ideas. What is more important than selling your products? It's selling your culture. And the USA is an undisputed global leader in the export of culture. China has seen that and has seen it as a potential guideline. And you can see in their involvement in Hollywood movies. China is taking cultural export very, very seriously, and having one road where they have influence in a whole series of different sectors, it can really help them cement their cultural dominance in the region and then maybe even potentially in the world. Here is a visual depiction of what this new Silk Road could look like. It's connecting a whole bunch of countries that need investment and countries where the West will not invest. If you look over here in this blue section, those are the Balkan states. These guys are hit very, very hard by the 2008 crisis. A lot of these countries still have not recovered to those pre-crisis levels. China are willing to pour money in order to establish their ideas in these areas. So this is more than just a blockchain project. This is more than just an artificial intelligence project. This is a project of cultural hegemony and dominance, and China has a very specific roadmap that they are following here. They are negotiating deals with each country with unique terms. There are no blanket settlements here. Every country has its needs. China is tailoring their offerings for every single country. This is not a joke. China are looking to take their place among the world leaders. Of course, I'm just glossing over the major details of this. The further you dig into this project, the more spectacular it seems. So I highly suggest you follow those links down in my description, because this will really be an eye-opening experience for you. Next up, let's have a look at the token. And aligning with a lot of cryptocurrency projects today, it's not a security. This is a utility token. Just like Ethereum, this will be the fuel for the network. This isn't actually a security, and they have skirted all the securities laws thanks to it not being a security. So things have become much more simple for the global adoption of the Matrix AI network. The token is currently an ERC20 token. There will be a one-for-one swap at the launch of the network, which will happen in September 2018. I shall give you more information on their roadmap a little later in the presentation. But what we don't know for sure is what is going to be the nature of the swap token. Will it be an NEP5 token? Will it be another type of token? We don't really know. But what we do know is that the Matrix AI network is a part of the neo smart economy. So there is a chance that it could be NEP5. Maybe there'll be a new token standard. We don't really know just yet. The token distribution is there for you to read, but I would like to highlight the 40% proof of work mining rewards. And lastly, you can currently store your tokens on MyEtherWallet like you could for any ERC20 tokens. The nature of their native wallet is still unclear right now. Next up, let's have a look at the competition. And we do have one NEO-based project in Deep Brain Chain among the competition. It looks like NEO are hedging their bets in every vertical that they're entering. And it looks like Man and Deep Brain Chain will sort of be fighting over the same customers. But of course, this is a massive market, so they won't actually be fighting over the same customers. It's probably just market testing to see how the market forces shape the definitive AI project on the NEO platform. If you compare these competitors, you can always pause this and have a look. Deep Brain Chain and Matrix AI Network are very similar in valuation. I've included Numeraire as an outlier because they were once a page 1 on CoinMarketCap cryptocurrency. I should include all these because they are using artificial intelligence and machine learning in order to make things more efficient. If you'd like to look into the numbers in more detail, you can always pause it. I won't read out everything to you. Instead, I shall have a look at the roadmap. And we do have a few key dates over here. September 2018, the system infrastructure will be ready and they'll start testing it. Private chains will be ready for enterprises to come in and they will start exploring how effective the interchain operability is. At the end of this year, the network will hopefully be completely launched. Artificial intelligence enabled proof of work and proof of stake will be live and the delegate nodes will be randomly selected. In Q2 of 2019, the artificial intelligence secured intelligent contracts, more than just smart contracts, intelligent contracts written in native language will be ready, as well as artificial intelligence based proactive protection and self-adaptive blockchains. So while it might seem that this is far away, this time will fly very quickly and these folks have a very ambitious set of goals, even to make it by March 2019. And that isn't even talking about what they're going to be doing by the end of next year when they want to have their own native mining circuits and their own mining facilities in order to ensure that the transaction throughput, the scalability, and the stability of their network is constant. Once they have this access to phenomenal amounts of computing power, then they can start big data applications. So they're building from the ground up. They're going to have a publicly supported network with highly centralized data farms. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but since they're working with enterprises, enterprises cannot rely on the fragility of this cryptocurrency market right now. The network needs to be propped up by players who have large holdings, and I think that it's a fairly acceptable middle ground for this. Of course, I don't agree with the use of these things in bona fide currencies like Bitcoin, but this is an enterprise network, and I do think that stability and security is highly important. Next up, let's have a look at the exchanges. Where can you buy yourself some Matrix AI network tokens? And a little surprisingly, the largest volume is on an exchange that I hadn't heard of until I started researching this project. It's called CoinEgg. It's a Korean-based exchange, and the volume there is significantly higher than anywhere else. I got mine on KuCoin, which is one of my favorite exchanges. I don't have really a bad thing to say about KuCoin. They've been doing things very well. They've been giving me access to some fantastic projects, and I've been able to get in on them and hopefully be ready to sell them when they get on the major exchanges like Binance. If decentralized exchanges are your thing, you can always pick some up on IDEX. So that's it from me. Let's quickly sum up everything in one slide. So there are a ton of positives and, in my opinion, no real negatives. So let's go from left to right. There are a few standout aspects to this project I think are completely unmissable. The team, absolutely phenomenally qualified. They have the right expertise, alongside, most importantly, when dealing with China, the connections with the government. So they really have things set for them in a great way. the MC proof of work is, in my opinion, a new generation of proof of work. Because I do think that while proof of work on the Bitcoin network is the only really provable way of ensuring the security of a network as expansive as Bitcoin, using MC to actually dedicate this hashing power for more than just looking for a nonce. You're actually computing data that can be used in a much more useful way. So imagine if all these data farms used to mine Bitcoin, instead of using hashing power, we're doing MC, we can most definitely increase the efficiency in a whole bunch of artificial intelligence based things around the world. Imagine crowdsourcing artificial intelligence number crunching. This is possibly a version 1 of a future where that is a reality. The market cap, I think, is great. It's very, very low. It's got a huge amount of potential for growth. I only really consider buying into projects when they're under the 300 million USD combined market cap. But these guys are like a third of that. So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I punted a bit now. This dip that happened yesterday was really, really brutal. If I can scrounge around, get some more liquidity, I am completely open to the idea of consolidating my position. And lastly, the One Belt, One Road initiative, $900 billion US project, sole AI and blockchain partner, sole, they're the only ones. Guys, that gets me a little excited. I'm not going to hide it at all. Next up, the neutral aspects, scalability and throughput. These can only really be proven when the network is live. So far, it's hearsay. And once this network is live, they can actually prove what this is all about and put their money where their mouths are. My last neutral point is the token use, because while it is a utility token, it can be used all over the network for services and stuff. I don't think it's anything exceptional, especially not compared to the other positives that this platform is offering. And lastly, the only negative, I mentioned the centralization aspect, but being an enterprise-based blockchain is not really a big problem, because all we want here is efficiency of systems. We're not really looking at censorship proofing in the same way that you would for Bitcoin and other payment type cryptocurrencies. So that's it from me. If you folks enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you didn't like it, constructive criticism, I'm open to all of it. While you're clicking that like button, why not subscribe? And hey, click that bell button to get notifications on every single upload from yours truly. So this is Marv from Crypto Simplified signing off. I do hope you folks have an awesome week. I do hope that that pullback that we experienced yesterday hasn't affected you too badly. I hope you didn't panic sell, because that just makes the problem worse, folks. So we shall catch up very soon. You folks take care. Laters.